Hey everyone, and welcome back. I've been MIA for the last 2 weeks, and I am so sorry. I had a lot going on. We'll get into it. But first, welcome back. From Cape Breton, it's Saturday night. So, we left off on, I forget, like week 7 or something, or week 8. I can't even remember of Big Brother. I left you hanging the last 2 weeks, the final week and then the finale. Oh, what a time for me to have work commitments, get sick, be traveling, all of those things, life. But I'm back, and I hope you're here to join me for at least a half hour, if not a little longer. I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be, and I'm really going to try to make it a full way through without many cuts needed. Okay, so where we left off in Big Brother, let's just wrap that up. So in the last we saw, there were 5 house guests left. There was Kuzi, Anika, Daniel C, Claudia, and Ty. Then we saw Kuzi and Anika go to jury. The final 3 for the finale week was Daniel C, Claudia, and Ty. I'm not going to string this along too much because it's past. You've either seen it or you're just waiting for the end result, and we'll get there. So in the final week, we saw Ty win. In the second last week, Ty won HOH. He put Claudia and Anika up, and then Claudia won the final, or that veto. So that was her clincher for the finale. So she took herself off. Daniel C is the only replacement. He goes up. They vote Anika out. Then we see the final 3 emerge. We go into the finale week, and we go to the 3-part HOH. So just like they do in Big Brother US, they do HOH part 1. Whoever wins goes automatically to part 3. And the ones that don't win part 1 battle it out in part 2 to see who battles in part 3 for the finale night HOH. And that last HOH individual gets to choose who they're taking to sit beside them as the final 2 to stand up against the jury for the vote to win. So we saw Claudia win part 1, which was amazing. I was really happy for her. If you remember, and we'll go back and we'll go over the actual players, the cast members, the contestants, the house guests, whatever you want to call them. We'll go over the list. But Claudia, I think in week 2 or 3, I mentioned that I had mixed reviews, mixed feelings about Claudia. And as the weeks went on, there were times she grew on me and times she didn't. And when I say she didn't, what I'm talking about is not at her gameplay, because we have to take into consideration Big Brother is a social experiment. So I'm also looking at their personality and how they conduct themselves. And I'm sure you all look at that too. And what I didn't appreciate, what I didn't really like in her, the way she conducted herself, was how much she depended on or relied on or even gravitated towards Ty. And the reason I was not a fan of that is because Ty's inability to speak to women in a normal, courteous, empathetic, respectful way made me lose a little bit of respect for Claudia to keep going back to him. Now, I say that. However, I am not her. I don't know what she had in her head, whether it was I like this boy kind of return to Ty, or if it was strategic in gameplay, knowing that he's an extremely strong player and basically keep your enemies closer, you know? However, at the end of the day, when the 2 battled in the middle HOH, so second part, Ty came out as winner. Ty and Claudia then battled on the live finale night, and Claudia won. Now, if I were her, hands down with no question, I would have picked Daniel C to sit beside. She would have had a better chance. But no, she picked Ty. And of course, drumroll please, you all know where this is going. Who do you think won Big Brother Canada this year? Yeah, it was Ty. Like, Claudia's argument was you all wanted to see a woman win, so here's your chance. No, he had 9 wins under his belt. The most wins in BBCan history for one season, for one player. And her argument was that she was a woman. I am all about girl power. I am all about supporting your fellow woman. But that was a weak argument. Really weak. Yes, she got herself there, but for the most part through the game, she relied on him. And he won fair and square. Like, if I was in the jury, I probably would have given him my vote too. So that wrapped up the actual game. Now let's talk a little bit about the players, the house guests. In the finale, just like I keep comparing to the US because we're next door neighbors and our programs are very similar. So we see the jury, and in jury we have Kuzi, Santina, we have Hope, Jonathan, Renee, Daniel C, Anika, and Shania and Dan S. Then they bring back in the audience, or to the side, the house guests that entered the house but didn't necessarily make jury. They were evicted prior, including self-evicted house guests. So we saw Return, we saw Amal, we saw Roberto, John Michael, and Vanessa. And if you've been paying attention, you would notice that I did not say somebody's name. That's right. Zach was not there. I have no idea if that was his choice or the producer's choice. However, it was a very loud statement. Either way, Zach was not included in the finale. All the house guests had unique stories. They had unique gameplay. Some I really vibed with as far as I could understand how they were playing the game in that way. And others, I really didn't see their vision. There was a few players I was really strongly against at the beginning. And then there were players I was strongly for that I kind of veered away from. That being said, the game is now over. We're done for this year. We move on. So, sorry to cut it and end it here, but let's move on. That was BBCan for 2023. So, what are you all up to? Nobody ever leaves me comments, so I don't even know if anybody's ever listening to this shit. And by the way, this is your forewarning. I'm gonna try to keep the verbiage a little clean, but I can't help it if sometimes it slips. So if you're really offended by curse words, this is your cue to leave. I just have to be myself. And I really hope you guys appreciate it. I've really been holding my tongue. Trying not to, but my natural speech includes it, so I'm not being true to myself. And I know you guys would appreciate me being true, so that's what I'm gonna do. Again, if there's people out there that are not into it and really offended by it, for whatever reason, either it's your culture, it's your background, whatever. If that's not for you, that's okay. There are other podcasts out there that don't include it, but I'm just gonna be speaking from my heart, speaking from off the cuff, so to speak. So every now and then, those words are going to fly out of my mouth, and I'm just not going to edit them. I'm really going to try not to edit myself very often. a few ums, maybe long pauses. Those things I'll edit out just for your sanity and mine. But I'm not going to edit myself. I'm not going to censor myself. Because really, why would I? Time to have a drink. What are you all drinking out there? My drink of choice today is an iced coffee. I made myself here at home. And that's because I am planning on going to visit a friend, so I can't partake in any alcoholic drinks, any wobbly pops or what have yous. Not right now, anyway. I really believe in not doing anything like that and keeping myself 100% sober so I can drive. And I hope you all appreciate that. So tonight, it is coffee. All right, so what's been going on with me? Where was I for 2 weeks? This nearly didn't happen for today either. And the reason it nearly didn't happen for today is I really had to muster up my motivation. Do you ever get like that where you're sitting around, you're in your little cocoon of your home or whatever you call your home, and you're in your safe space and you really don't want to open yourself up to the world? Well, that was me the last few weeks. I mean, mind you, I kind of alluded to it at the beginning. I was traveling. I traveled last weekend for 4 days. I went to Halifax, the big city here in Nova Scotia. And I did so on Mother's Day weekend to celebrate my grandmother's 90th birthday. 90. I can't believe it. And as we were leaving, she what's the word? Come on, guys. Help me out. Very loudly? No. Assertively stated that we better prepare and be ready for her 100th. And I'm telling you, she will do it. She will be there and we will celebrate. So, traveling to Halifax, what does that entail, you might ask? Since I live in Cape Breton, if you don't know where that is, you need to look it up, Google it. I'm not your guide. Although if you come, I might be. Cape Breton Island has only one city on it, and that's Sydney. So to travel from Sydney to Halifax, Nova Scotia is a small province. It's pretty spread out. There's a lot of driving involved. But there's only 3 cities, Halifax and Dartmouth, which are twin cities, and Sydney. So to travel from Sydney to Halifax or vice versa, it's 4.5 hours driving. So to do this travel, I am the chauffeur. I am the driver. So that put a lot of strain on my impinged shoulder. By the time the travel was done, my shoulder was so fucking sore, and sleeping in a hotel on a beautiful hotel bed with the lush pillows and comforters, duvets, whatever you want to call them, it would have been wonderful. But do you think I could get comfortable? Not a chance. I really couldn't wait to get back to my own bed because I've found a position where I can actually get a few hours sleep because the pain in my shoulder, in my arms, is unreal. And today, what did I do today? Well, I'm setting up a garden, so I went and got 96 30-pound, roughly, bags of soil. Took me 3 trips from the Home Depot with my van, unloaded those 96 bags, and now I know tomorrow my shoulder's going to be killer. But I'm going to have a pretty sick garden, so I'm okay with that. I'll deal with the pain. I did go get myself some gummies, so hopefully that'll deal with it. And if you're not from Canada, weed is legal here, so, don't come at me for that. I really don't care. I really don't care. So I'll settle down tonight, have a little bit of CBD, and relax and go to sleep and be, hopefully, pain-free for the night. So, I also mentioned I was sick. Let me get to that. In this area, apparently, the Norwalk virus is going around. I don't think I had that. I know it wasn't COVID. I just had like a fever and exhaustion, like that really drained feeling for the last nearly 2 weeks. Last week, it was the worst. I couldn't get out of my own way. But this week, I'm getting back to normal. I still have kind of like a little bit of I wouldn't even call it a sore throat. It's more like an annoying throat. But yeah, that was what I meant by I was sick. And work. Of course I work. I work full time. Y'all know that. And that's really what I've been up to. What have you guys been up to? I really do want to hear from you. I say it hopefully often enough to encourage you to comment. Leave me comments. If I'm not seeing them, go over to my YouTube channel if you're not already there. If you're listening just on audio and listening to wherever you listen to podcasts, thank you so much. Please rate the podcast and share it. I'm really trying to grow my channel and find my footing, find what really drives me. I love to talk. I think you've got that already. But I almost have a hard time understanding what I should talk about. And that's where I'm looking to you guys for help. There's a lot I'm passionate about, a lot I'd love to talk about, but I don't know what you guys want to listen to. Do you want to listen to true crime? Do you want to listen to stories about my home? Do you want to listen to paranormal stuff? Like, what the hell is up with you guys? Why don't you talk to me? Okay, now I sound whiny, and now I'm going to annoy myself. Let's change the subject. So, today is what is today? May 20th? It's still pretty cold here in Nova Scotia, so I mentioned I'm gardening, but all my seedlings are like, well, they need to go outside, let's put it that way. They're starting to blossom, like my peppers are starting to put on peppers, and they're not even in the ground yet. Who else out there gardens? Do you? Are you on a homestead? Do you just put flowers in the ground? Are you just like a balcony gardener? Like, what do you guys do? And speaking of the paranormal, I'm really, really passionate about that stuff. Very spiritual. And I'd really like to get into some stories about it. But again, I want to know, is that kind of thing what you'd like to hear about? Please let me know. I'm, again, gonna beg you. So if you're on Audible, I'm not Audible, losing my brain cells, and I haven't even had my CBD yet. If you're listening on a podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, but you haven't found my YouTube channel yet, swing on over. I'll put the link in the show notes. Go over and find me there if you're interested in gardening. I will be putting a few more videos on there throughout the season. One coming up, I have 49 or 50 clips to go through and compile the video, but it was the actual construction of my 6 raised bed garden. That might sound small to some, might sound really big to others. It's just right for me. So if that's the kind of thing you're into, go on over, subscribe on my YouTube channel. If you're not into gardening, there's other things over there as well that might pique your interest. And I also post the podcast there as well. So that's another thing you can find. But I'm also trying to grow the YouTube channel, so I'd really appreciate your support. Please, guys, try to help me grow. It's only you guys that can help me do so. I post and I post and I post, but unless you're actually actively listening and commenting and sharing and liking and subscribing, there's nothing that will happen, and I won't be able to reach many more people. So with that, I'm just going to leave it there. Until next week. So, from Cape Breton, see you later, friends.